Hello, guys, and welcome to another episode of Many Mistakes Ago podcast. So, before I start with the podcast, I just had something so weird happen and I wanted to talk about it. This couple came to my door and they are like nearby neighbors, right? And they had a picture of the package that it looks like the package that I received yesterday from Amazon. And I was like, it was just a weird situation because I was like, that's definitely my door and that definitely looks like the package I received, but it had my name on it and it had my stuff inside. And it was just like the weirdest situation because I was like, there's no denying that that's like my door. There's no denying that like the package, like even like the package, like the box that everything came in was sitting there. And I'm like, it was just so weird because it was like, it was marked as delivered for them. And I just felt so bad because I was like, I have no idea. Like, I did receive a package from Amazon that looks exactly like that, but like it had my laptop case that I was so excited about getting, and then my mouse, and then it also had this like like a resealer, like you can reseal like your chip bags and stuff. It was just like the weirdest moment because I was like, I have no idea what to say because like it was marked as delivered, but like it was my stuff. So I don't know, maybe the Amazon person like freaked out and was like, this isn't the right spot, but I have no idea. So that was interesting. And I feel bad because like I said, like if that was me, I would be like, well, where's my stuff, you know? But like at the same time, my dumbass was like, oh, what was in it? Like as if any of my business. But I was just like, it was just so weird because like, I don't know. I couldn't think of like saying like that was definitely my package. Like instead I was like, oh, well, like what was in it? And like I'm sitting here like trying to like think if I like received anything that wasn't mine, but if I did, I wouldn't have opened it. So like my brain was just like scrambled. I was like, I have no idea. I was like, I received a package, but it was my stuff. So yeah, that was interesting and weird, and I hope that they get the package that said was delivered. I feel bad, but like I don't know, like it was a moment and I just had to tell you guys because I was like, what is my dumbass thinking of asking like what was in it, like as if that's gonna help anything. But at the same time, I think my thought was like, oh, maybe like it was at the bottom of my package somehow, but it wasn't, so I have no idea. um Anyway, welcome to Many Mistakes Ago. Let's talk about type 1 diabetes. So I had done a podcast episode like this not too long ago, probably like a month ago or so, but I really just feel like that past episode was more about just being an unlucky diabetic. But I want to talk about other things and situations. So, like, about my diagnosis, how it can affect you, and just maybe like some questions that people might have that I can answer. So, let's get into it. So, I was diagnosed at 11 years old, and the way that I found out is that my mom saw me in a bathing suit. And now I was like in Florida at the time, so it was like January, late January it had to have been. And I had a bathing suit that was hanging off of me. I had lost 15 pounds, but I was still eating and playing like a regular kid. I definitely remember being more hungry and like having this like thirst that I just could not quench. And I also remember, I think it was it that year? No, it wasn't. It's weird because I remember being at my grandparents' house and being in so much pain. Um, and like the only thing that would make me feel better is being asleep. But the thing is that my parents weren't together when I was diagnosed with diabetes. So I have no idea if I like went a full year being a diabetic and not knowing it or not, because I'm not kidding you when I say my parents divorced um like in March. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out the timeline now because I vividly remember going over my grandparents' house, but I was pretty sure that this had happened when my parents were together and they were like going out and having fun. And this was like New Year's, and they made a joke of like, see you next year. But my parents were like definitely divorced when I was diagnosed. So I really have no idea. But anyway, that like winter when I was at my grandparents, the only time I could like not feel pain was when I was asleep, and water tasted like iron, and my grandmother told me to like drink milk. Maybe like there's something wrong with water, like maybe water isn't tasting good for some reason, which she was right, but I needed the water at the same time, so I like went behind her back and still drank that water. However, it's just weird to me because I now realize that I don't think that this happened like the same year, because my parents were definitely separated when I was diagnosed, so I'm not 100% sure. I think the timeline is a little shaky because back then I had so much trauma and so many things that happened that it's hard to recall certain things. But I do remember that my parents were divorced. I do remember my mom dropping me off at the house. I do remember I was in 6th grade because it was 2009. So it was just weird because I like remember certain things, but I don't know if or how they all connected. But anyway, I do remember that my parents were divorced, and this was like one of the first times that they were in the same room together after they were divorced, and they were like, Marissa, like we just want you to be okay. And I remember my brother saying like he wished he had diabetes so like I didn't have to have it. And that was like a true testament of like how much I like my brother loves me. I think it was like this external validation because like me and my brother, like we got along, but at the same time like we're brother and sister, so like we obviously fought a lot, and had like stupid petty arguments and stuff, but like overall like he was like, you're my sister and I love you. And I think that like finally like ingrained in my brain like he does care about me, like this is my brother, like he wishes like I didn't have to deal with it, he wishes he had it so that I wouldn't have to deal with it. Like that's huge, of like just any human being saying that, to like comfort you and like also just like kind of like show an expression of love. Because my brother my brother and I's relationship obviously now is a lot better, and I feel like we express love easier. But I feel like back then it was just like that moment of like, wow, like, my brother doesn't really express love like that, so it was nice to like have that from him. So that's kind of my diagnosis story. I ended up in the hospital for probably like a week. And I remember like being so scared to take a shot. I was like, don't do it there, don't do it there, don't do it there. And it was like I had like this, I don't want to say I had a fear of needles, because I never really had like such a huge fear of needles. Like I obviously, like, I get tattooed, but I feel like if I did have a fear of needles back then, that like it was game over. But I feel like I didn't have too much of a fear, because I don't remember having trouble with getting my blood drawn like when I grew a little bit older. Obviously I was only 11 when I was diagnosed, so I was still pretty young. And it definitely changes you entirely. Like, you lose your autonomy. Like, you have to take care of yourself. You have to make all of these decisions, and it's very frustrating, because it's like you knew life one way and now you have to completely change everything, you know? Like, you have to change the way that you think, the way that you eat, the way that you move, your schedule. Like, everything now just revolves around diabetes and taking care of it. And I feel like back in 2009 when I was diagnosed, obviously it's very tough, because I feel like there are a lot of physicians that know what they're doing, but there's also a lot that don't. However, I feel like I was very lucky. I was diagnosed in Naples, Florida, right? And there was this wonderful, wonderful doctor that they set me up with. And he had a nurse practitioner that I like absolutely fell in love with, because she was a nurse practitioner in endocrinology, and she herself had diabetes. So I feel like they set me up so well, because they were very educated, of course. And I never felt like I couldn't talk about my struggles. Whereas I've definitely heard other people's diagnosis stories, and I'm fully aware that like a lot of doctors, or, you know, whoever was, you know, whatever nurses were in that hospital room, like, they came with some challenges, you know. I remember listening to Soph Mosca's vlog, or not vlog, sorry, her podcast, where she had other diabetics on with her talking about type 1 diabetes, which kind of inspired me to talk about, like, definitely, okay, I will not lie. I know that Soph Mosca is younger than me, but she 100% inspires me when it comes to content creation, when it comes to living life, when it comes to so many things. And I think she inspires me because she has gone through it, and she like is still going. And I can say that about myself, yes, but I feel like she's like so in the public eye because of social media, that it makes me realize that I can chase my dreams too. You know, even though I joke and I kid that we're alike, because we're both femme, we're both type 1 diabetics, we're both gay. Like, it was just kind of funny, you know, that I had stumbled across her page, and I had stumbled across it a couple years back when there was a TikTok that she made about like every second of the day, and it was I think it was one of Lizzo's songs. It's About Damn Time. I don't know what the actual name of the song is, but I know it started with that. And it was like her dancing throughout the day, but also doing diabetes things, like giving an insulin shot or checking her blood sugar. And I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. Like, another diabetic. You know, you don't really come across that on social media unless you're actively in that algorithm. And at the time, I really wasn't. So, like, this had come to me at a perfect time, because I was like no longer friends with the one girl that I knew had type 1 diabetes. Like, I had obviously met other diabetics in school and stuff like that, but like, we never really made friendships out of it. And there was this one girl that I was friends with for a while that was a type 1 diabetic. And I loved having a diabetic friend because I felt so like seen in so many ways that other people couldn't. That when Soph came across my page, I like saw that and like I followed her, and it was like, I want to build a community of like people who feel alone in the diabetes world, that like don't have diabetic friends, that might have some struggles that other people or their partners don't understand. And let me know if this is a good idea. I'm going to be doing like a type 1 diabetes vlog every month to couple of months depending. But I want to do a group chat, like a support group chat of like diabetics. And I'm thinking of maybe doing it on Snapchat. So if anybody sees this and is interested, if you're a type 1 diabetic and you want to be a part of a group chat, let me know. I'm thinking of creating one. I don't have diabetic friends. I don't really know many diabetics like that. I know that there are millions of diabetics out there. I just don't know them. And I kind of think that it would be nice that the diabetics that are out there that might feel alone, that don't really want to go to like a support group, but just want to have friends or people that understand them. Like, I think that would be a great thing. So I'm going to bring it up on my next vlog, but I figured I would bring it up now in case this gets a crazy amount of views. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed, only because I really want people to see this. Because I think it would be really nice to like have that support. So if you're interested, let me know. My Snapchat is going to be in the description along with all of my other social medias. But if you like that idea, let me know. Anyway, I really want to do that. So I think it would be nice because, like I said, I don't have any diabetic friends, and it's not like there's any platform for like diabetics that are like, diabetics are actively on it. Like, I'm sure, I know that there's like websites and like threads and communities that exist online. I just feel like there's a lot of people that don't go to seek that. And if they do, it's hard to find people that are maybe in your area or around your age or whatever, unless you go to like a support group. And like I said, I don't really want to go to a support group. It's not that like I don't need therapy, because that's not true. Like, I think everybody could benefit from therapy, but I just think that a diabetic support group is not something that I'm very much interested in, because I did do that as a kid and it was nice, but I'm over being diagnosed. Like, I've come through so many hurdles that at this point, the only reason I would want a support group in some way, shape, or form is to connect with other people that understand me, and just want to have that support. But like, I don't want to go to like meetings involving it, if that makes sense. So anyway, that's all I'll say about that. Because I feel like I don't want to talk y'all's ears off about a support group. But yeah, so let me walk you guys through. So after my diagnosis, I was in middle school, right? And I felt so defeated. I do remember, I want to say, so I was diagnosed January 26, 2009. And I want to say I was in 6th grade at the time. And I was going through a lot. Obviously, like, my parents had divorced the year prior in 5th grade. And I was just going through a lot of changes, and I remember the wild things that people said or did around me. I remember there was actually this like really cute, quote unquote, reason I say that is because this guy was like older, right? Like he was an advisor. He was like in a position of authority somehow in this middle school. I want to say he was an advisor. I have no idea what his actual position was. But I had met him when I was diagnosed because he was a diabetic, but like everyone had like this weird crush on him. And I was like, yeah, I guess he's like objectively cute, but I like him because I can relate to him. Like he's a type 1 diabetic. He is telling me that like everything's going to be okay, and it makes me feel secure and like that I can get through life, you know, because obviously when you're diagnosed and you're young, like you're terrified. You have no idea what it actually means for you until you grow up, or if you're diagnosed at a later age, you can, you know, actually look up on the internet and understand things. But I remember like people were jealous because like I was like hanging out in the nurse's office and like talking and having conversations with him, and I was like you're jealous. Like I'm talking to a man that like is going through something and is trying to make me feel better as like an 11-year-old child. Like get out of here. Like you just have a weird crush on him. Like I don't know. But I do remember always going into the nurse's office, like all through middle school and high school. It was like my nurse, whoever it was, they were my BFF. And it was the weirdest thing because the middle school nurse was like my BFF all 3 years, right? I would go there very often because like as a newly diagnosed diabetic and a child, like you don't know how to take care of yourself, and like any lows that I had, any highs that I had, if I wasn't feeling well, like I was there. And it's like you don't want to always be there, but like you also don't know what to do because you're so young and you have all of this baggage to like carry. So it's really nice to have a school nurse that like is willing to help you and like talk with you. But it was just weird because like there was so much like evil eye type of vibes. Like there was this one girl that I remember, she said that she wished she had type 1 diabetes so that she could get out of class and go to the nurse's office whenever she wanted to. But like I wouldn't wish type 1 diabetes on even my worst enemy. Like it is complex. You don't know how you got it. It's idiopathic. You don't understand it. Like nobody that I'm related to has type 1 diabetes, or diabetes in general. Like I think my grandmother on my dad's side developed type 2 diabetes, but she's no longer with us, so I'm not 100% sure. I'm trying to recall from memory, but like nobody, like it made no sense that I had it. Like I don't know what triggered it. I don't know what happened. I just lost 15 pounds. I was hungry. It was crazy too because I was also a dancer at the time. And I was like dancing, I was exercising. Yeah, I might have had like, you know, like meals, like Happy Meals from McDonald's or Wendy's or whatever, kind of often. But like that's not even type 1 diabetes related. Like the only relation that there is that you're eating a lot more carbs. But type 1 diabetes is not related to what you ate, as far as everyone is aware anyway. I will say that. Like I said, it's idiopathic, so we don't know what triggered it. It's almost like it's in your body and it's just waiting to be activated. That's like the best way I can describe it. But I don't know what activated it. Nobody does. And that's the problem. And it's like, we wish there was a cure. We wish there was an understanding of why. But the truth is that we either don't know and it's being hidden from us, if you're a conspiracy theorist, or there's just straight up no answer and we don't know and we're just dealing with it. So, like, I remember a lot of that in middle school, and then in high school, the nurse became my BFF because, so my first year of high school, I don't remember too much. I'm sure I went to the nurse's office, but that was a tough time in my life, so I don't really recall much. But when I had moved to Connecticut, the nurse became my BFF because, like, I had no friends. So I quite literally spent as many lunches as possible going to the nurse's office. And, like, there were times where, like, I don't know if other schools experienced this, but, like, there was a waiting, like, when you had your lunch wave, you would have to wait in a certain area and you could not, like, roam the halls. And the nurse's office was past that waiting area. So anytime, like, they were like, you can't move out of this way, and I'd be like, I need to go to the nurse's office, like, I'm a diabetic. Most of the time they wouldn't usually question it, but, like, it was just weird because, like, I had to advocate for myself back then, and I'm still not good at advocating for myself that much. Like, I try as much as possible, but there were so many instances where, like, I could have advocated for myself and I didn't. But anyway, there were times where I would bring my lunch, and I think that's what got them, is, like, you can't be, like, bringing your lunch, like, from the lunch cafeteria. Like, you need to be eating it in here, which I get, but at the same time, I think after a while I started packing lunches so I could just, like, escape to the nurse's office. And I would literally eat lunch in there, like, every single day because I was so scared to make friends. Everybody already was, like, in their own friend group, and, like, I was, like, this weird emo girl that, like, I didn't really know what to, like, do or how to navigate, like, a new school. And, like, I was scared to make friends. I was very antisocial. And it was just, like, the weirdest thing because, like, I wanted friends, but I also, like, hated life so much that I wanted nothing to do with friends. However, I do remember meeting friends because I went to the nurse's office so much. I met some of the greatest friends there. There were a couple people that I had friendships with. Unfortunately, these days, I fell off with every single one of those friends, every single one, as if there were a million. There were only, like, 3 people that I met in the nurse's office, but like I said, those were some of the greatest friends, because they pulled me out of a very dark place, and I can always, like, appreciate that moment. But anyway, navigating type 1 diabetes as an adult is very difficult when you had diabetes as a child because you don't realize how much diabetes affects you. So, for example, I remember my mom telling me about this guy that she was friends with. Mind you, Connecticut's a small town, like, the town that we were in Connecticut, very small town, everybody knows everybody type of deal, even back then. So, like, that's where my mom grew up, and there was a restaurant manager that had diabetes, and he had diabetes complications. And every time my mom was like, this is what's gonna happen if you don't take care of yourself, like, you need to take care of yourself, I'd be like, okay, Mom, like, I get it, blah, 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 I need to take care of myself. But, like, you don't realize how much it affects you or can affect you until it does. And I think my mom was really trying to warn me, but at the age that I was at, I either was so burnt out that I could not deal with anything else, or I was so depressed that I just didn't care. Um, but it definitely has caught up with me in more ways than one. I feel like these days I have very, very bad problems with my eyes. I should be wearing glasses right now, but to be honest, because I'm not like actively like reading or like staring, I'm kind of just like talking. Um, you guys are gonna love this. This is my blue light filter glasses, and I made them a different color because A, I love purple, and B, I wanted to know which glasses I needed to grab by like a bold statement. So I got these blue light filter glasses, but they also have the purple tint. And my other glasses technically aren't blue light filtered. They're just kind of like regular glasses. And I'm definitely going to get another pair of glasses that are like blue light filtered, but I'll just get normal glasses next time. But I think the reason I wanted the filter was like I work on the computer so often that like it's nice to have glasses that like help with that. And I wanted to know the difference right away. I wanted to be like, those lenses, those are the ones I need versus like the clear lenses. So that's kind of why I did this. But speaking of eyes, I am pretty sure I am on my way to diabetic retinopathy. Essentially, there is bleeding behind my eyes, and that comes to poorly controlled sugars. For a while, I was having really bad health struggles where it would hurt to look at anything. And I still to this day like deal with it. It's just not as bad. And I don't know if that's because I'm trying to make healthier choices or because my vision is kind of in and out, but there was a period of time where I would have like a headache all day every day. My eyes would just hurt. Like it's unexplainable, and it makes me want to cry because I didn't realize how much diabetes could affect you until this moment. And when I went to go get a checkup, they were like, you're like, there's bleeding. There's so much bleeding behind your eyes, Marissa. Like, you need to go to a retina specialist. So, like, I went and I was terrified because, like, I'm hearing, like, all of these things. Like, you could lose your vision. Like, you could go blind. Like, what are you doing? You know? It wasn't said in that way, but it was definitely, like, a wake-up call. And it's like you want to fix things at this point, but like the damage was done years ago when I was depressed, when I wanted to die, when I didn't care about taking care of myself. Like the damage was done years ago, but it's affecting me now. And that's the part that kills me because I know my mom was just trying to warn me because she loves me and she cares about me and she wants me to be okay. But I did not listen because I was so wrapped up in my depression, in my suicidal thoughts that like I didn't care to take care of myself. And now I'm paying the price of that. And it makes me want to cry because it's this like realization of like how much taking care of yourself is important. And obviously now I'm taking care of myself and now I'm, doing the best that I can, but I'm still going to see those effects for a while because it's going to get worse before it gets better, which is what my retina specialist had said to me. Obviously there has been progress in my eyesight and in my vision because I don't deal with those everyday headaches anymore. I wear glasses a lot more often, and I probably should be starting to wear them every time I'm on the computer, but there's just times where I need a break. Um, but for example, I see black floaters very often. I was trying to read today and I didn't stop reading. I kept going because I wanted to finish the book. I was so close to finishing. And I did finish the book. Um, but there were so many black floaters in my eyes that I had to like close my eyes for a second and drink some water and like breathe because it was just like all I could see. And then I had a mental breakdown probably last week, actually, because I was writing a to-do list and I was trying to write down like kind of copy paste type of vibes. So like I know I waste so much paper doing this, but like I will rewrite my to-do list to match the order that I want it to be for that specific day. So like anything from the day before that doesn't get done, that I need to get done sooner rather than later, I'll write a new to-do list for that, right? So like let's say Saturday I get items 1 through 5 done, but 6 through 10 don't. I will take items 6 through 10 and move it to the next day and then write more stuff on top of it that I need to get done. So I was kind of doing something like that, right? And I had a mental breakdown because I was trying so hard to read what was on my to-do list. I couldn't make out the words. And I had a mental breakdown because I was trying so hard to see that it was breaking me, that I couldn't focus on words. And my girlfriend was like, why don't you take a break and come like watch me feed Remy? And I was like, what do you mean watch you? Like I can't see. And I freaked out because I was like, I can't focus on anything. And I couldn't focus on words. I couldn't focus on, I literally like couldn't, my mind, oh my God, I'm sorry, I'm crying. My mind like couldn't see my dog. Like I was trying to like focus on Remy, but she was like double. Full transparency, I was crying my eyes out talking about this, but I was so emotional because even though I care about my health now, I didn't before, and it's become a challenge in my life. And it's almost like the cycle is trying to repeat itself where I have these challenges that are thrown at me that make me want to off myself. Because I feel so overwhelmed and so powerless. And it's frustrating because I have so much more to live for, but I still feel so defeated 99% of the time. Okay, we're going to put these back on because we need to take care of ourselves. I just needed a moment to dry my eyes and clear my nose and all that. But it was just like this wake up call of like, Marissa, like you can still turn this around if you do what you need to do. So I am wearing glasses. I am wearing sunglasses. I am wearing other glasses, all with my prescription to make sure I don't strain my eyes. I'm watching my blood sugars. I'm watching what I eat, making sure that I don't go too high or too low. You know, I am exercising or getting outside, going on walks, making sure I lose weight and take care of my health and make sure I don't become completely obese and, you know, have health problems down the line because of it. And it's just a lot for someone to have to take care of their health when it's been so sideways and they're starting to feel the effects, and it feels like this never ending battle of, do I keep fighting because I have a chance, or do I give up because I might not? And I think I want to keep fighting because I have so much to live for, but I'm so tired and so burnt out that there are days where I just want to lay in bed and cry. And it's not anything that most people understand. There's work burnout. There's burnout with schooling. There's burnout with life. There's burnout with, many different things. But one thing that not everyone will understand is the burnout of a chronic illness. And I am not here to throw a pity party or anything. I just want people to understand, because I don't think that I think these days there are a lot of people trying to spread awareness, and I love that. However, the awareness of the ugly is not seen often, because not everyone wants to share their most vulnerable moments. And I think for me, I am on this earth to share my vulnerable moments, because at one point I wanted to die. At one point I actively jumped off of a cliff and I survived. At one point I had struggles with a mental illness. At one point I had struggles with a chronic illness. And with social media, so many people see the good, but that's all that people are willing to show. And I think I don't want to say I was put on this earth in a bad, almighty God way, because I don't think of myself and put myself on a pedestal like that. But I think that everyone has a purpose, and I wonder if my purpose in this life is to be vulnerable and share the bad experiences, because they do exist. And I don't know if it's up to me to realize that being brave and being vulnerable is okay and it's a good thing. But I just feel like I wanted to talk about the reality of being a type 1 diabetic, and it's not always pretty. Obviously it's not, I just feel like a lot of people share funny moments, or they'll share real relatable moments, but what's not real and relatable, I mean, it's real, but it sadly shouldn't be relatable, is the after effects of if you don't take care of yourself. I'm fighting for my life, trying to stay alive, which is so ironic because 10 years ago I wanted to be dead. God, it's been 10 years since I jumped off of that cliff, by the way. And it's ironic because I want to fight for my life. I want to be here, but I have so many struggles and challenges that are kind of coming full circle that I now have to fight to be healthy and alive. And I think it just goes to show, after a while, I think when people go through hard times and they go through depression, that can end and you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. But what some people don't talk about is the challenges that you will face once you see the end of the tunnel, that it could come full circle again. And it's scary, because I had finally seen the light, and I finally was I want to live. And now it's like I have so much put on me with work being stressful and like I'm not happy in my job, with moving into a new apartment and struggling to find energy. Me and my girlfriend both, like, we're exhausted and burnt out. And keeping that relationship going, because when you're both burnt out and exhausted, how do you keep the love alive? And when you're struggling with a chronic illness on top of it, that you have to deal with every single second of every single day. Every decision you make is going to affect it. Do I go on a walk? Do I bring apple juice on that walk? Do I bring water on that walk? Do I walk the dog as well? You have so many decisions that you're making on top of other decisions because you're a diabetic. Do you dose beforehand? What do you dose beforehand? Do you dose after? Do you eat a meal after? Like, there's so many like surrounding questions that you deal with on a daily basis. But then on top of it, if you didn't take care of yourself when you were younger, what do you have to deal with now? Like, for me, I have to deal with my eyesight. Like, it's gonna sound so messed up, but I'm thankful that it's my eyes, because I have faith that my eyes will, with time, correct back to normal. And if not, hopefully I could get surgery to fix that. But like, I remember some scary things that I saw when I was in nursing school. And this guy was a diabetic, right? And he was, I believe, also a vet. I could be wrong. But he did not have his lower limbs due to diabetes. And like, that's a terrible fear of mine. Like, I don't want to be subjected to a wheelchair. I want to be able to travel the world with my girlfriend. I want to be able to walk places. I want to be able to do these things. But in order to do these things, I need to take care of myself. And it's like, every decision I make is going to affect my future in one way, shape, or form. And the scary part is that, like, if I don't take care of myself, there are serious consequences. I don't want to have to cut off my limbs because I didn't take care of myself. Like, it's really hit me that there are some important things I need to watch out for, and my health being one of them. Anyway, I think the reality of being a diabetic is that there is a lot that is put on us that we need to do as a diabetic, and it's very scary, and you can be it can be very terrifying, especially if you don't know certain things. But at the end of the day, I think that I am proud to be a part of the type 1 diabetes community, because I feel like if I couldn't handle it, it wouldn't have been given to me, or I wouldn't develop it. I can't say that I'm lucky, but I can say that, like, I feel like there's a reason, and I feel like there's a purpose, and I hope that I can find that purpose. And I want to share more about being a diabetic and what that's like, and I want to share the good and the bad. I think that that's important. I think that I want to take care of myself, and I want to show you guys, like, that it is possible to turn things around, that it is possible to live a good life as a diabetic, because I truly do hope that, like, if I could, like, go back to younger me and, like, say, girl, take care of yourself, there's a reason I'm telling you this. Like, I know that I can't go back to a younger version of myself and say that, but I sure as hell can, like, say that to like a newly diagnosed diabetic that's looking for answers, you know? And this is like one of those moments that like I genuinely hope that this reaches whoever it needs to reach, and that they take this seriously and not with a grain of salt like I did. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and just lift my little glasses veil here and let you know that if you are a type 1 diabetic, newly diagnosed or not, I love you. You are seen, you are valid, and I hope that you have a support system, and if you don't, you can always reach out to me, because I don't have a diabetic support system. I have a great support system, but I don't have a diabetic support system, and I would love to create one for those who are interested. And if you are watching this and you're not a diabetic, or you're listening to this and you're not a diabetic, but you might have a loved one that is, support them, because they, even if they don't lean on you, I promise you that they want to. And if you don't know that, if you are watching this or listening to this and you're just curious, you don't have anyone in your life that's a diabetic, know that it's tough, but we're freaking fighters. Like, it can be a lot. It's a daily challenge, and it feels like I am constantly dying, and everything I do, every insulin shot I take is to stay alive, is how it feels. Especially when I'm burnt out. And I'm still here, and I'm still kicking ass, and I'm still going no matter what. And I hope that whoever is watching this, diabetic or not, that this gives you the motivation to kick ass and keep going and stay alive and stay healthy, because I feel like life can be so great if you just let it be great and you chase the greatness, that you don't dwell on the horrible things. And granted, I've definitely spent a lot of time dwelling on stupid stuff, horrible stuff, and I am choosing to look at life differently. I am choosing to see the good in life. Like today, for example, I went to the pool. I took my insulin pump off because it's 90 degrees and sunny outside, and I was not about to find out if my insulin pump can overheat, because my old insulin pump could overheat, and it was a very scary experience, and it malfunctioned. So I'm not taking that chance with this new pump. But so I left my phone, I left my insulin pump, and I left my vlog camera, literally everything. I took a book with me. I took my reading sunglasses, or I should say prescription sunglasses. I took a towel, a backpack, some waters, and I went and laid at the pool for an hour, literally an hour, no more. And I had the best time unplugging from everything, literally reading a book, getting my mind off of it, soaking up the vitamin D, soaking up the sun, going into the water. It felt so nice. It was like hot, and I was literally out of the pool for so long, just sitting in the sun and trying to tan. And when I finally got in, it was so nice. It was so cool. It was refreshing. And then I got out and I laid in the sun for like maybe 5 more minutes to just get off all the water via the sun. And then I came back. And that was an hour of my life that I unplugged, and I felt great. Obviously you can't unplug all the time, but it was nice. It was a moment where I felt like, even though there were obstacles involved in that outing, you know, I chose to stay happy, to enjoy what was in front of me, distraction free. There were outside distractions, obviously. There were other people at the pool, music, kids, stuff like that. But I chose to see the good. I was enjoying the sun. I was enjoying the water. I was living for every moment. I was escaping via that book and loving that book and taking that book's appreciation, like taking it in and appreciating it. And I was enjoying life. And today was like the first day in a very long time where I think last weekend I felt refreshed, but today was like the first day that I actually like appreciated life and like actively was looking for the positive, but at the same time it was not hard to find the positive, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like when I want to look for the positive, it's very hard for me to find it, and like, I struggle with finding the positives. But I feel like today was like the first day that I was just like enjoying life. The positives came easy, and I could just appreciate where I was and what I was doing. And I was so proud of myself for just getting outside of the house, going to the pool, reading, and doing things that made me feel good. I know that this was maybe a longer episode, but I thank you so much for joining and thank you for listening. Diabetic or not, I appreciate you for taking time out of your day to listen to this. And I love you very, very much, every single one of you. And if you want to be a part of a group chat for type 1 diabetics, go down below to the description, find my Snapchat, and message me. My goal is to start a group chat. Hopefully there's enough people to get one going. But yeah, I'm definitely hoping that we can make a change and support each other, because I know it's not just me out there. So yeah. Anyway, diabetic or not, thank you for listening. I love you, and I will see you next time on Many Mistakes Ago podcast.